a lot of us that were on the spectrum that were, then realized later in our later lives that we were on the spectrum, um, it, we still learned.
How do you figure out if your kids are on the spectrum? If you've got a child who you're just seeing something in them and you're just thinking, I know that there's something about this child that is different. How do parents figure out what might be different about that child and how to meet the needs of that child?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because one of my board members, and you probably know her, Faith Behrens, who is with HSLDA, sent me a research article that said we're missing about 60% of the kids that are on the spectrum when we test them.
That's a lot.
So I'm thinking, maybe we are not so, maybe we're more typical than the normal.
Right.
I don't know, being on the spectrum myself. Because now we consider spectrum issues anywhere from ADHD all the way to nonverbal autistic children, and everything in between. We all have quirkiness. And so it's funny, I would have dismissed my daughter as being on the spectrum until she started calling me out on my stuff. and she's like, Mom, I've been doing a little research and I'm doing some free tests online, which there are a lot of them out there, if you don't want to have to pay for it, just to kind of check the boxes and say, what am I seeing, and maybe start accommodating a little bit, or get your child a fidget and see, does this really decrease stress? You don't need an official diagnosis to give a child a fidget.
Yeah, right.
And make it work, and you don't need a lot of the accommodations that we make in the homeschool setting, like, turning down noise, helping kids focus, taking brain breaks. These are things we typically do with typical learners. It's just that kids that have specialized learning needs often need them more, or we are more vigilant about using them. I went to school as a typical learner. It didn't feel like I was typical, but a lot of us that were on the spectrum that were, then realized later in our later lives that we were on the spectrum, we still learned.
Yeah.
Right. But it's nice to know that there are some things that we can do that, or like my daughter, she even says, it's nice to know that this is just what I can do to make it easier.
Right.
And even my oldest, who was diagnosed on the spectrum, chose in college not to have his diagnoses known. And that's something that our kids can do too. I actually interviewed a woman who said, even when you're in the school system and you can set up everything within the college to get accommodations, and your professors will not know it until you specifically disclose it to each individual professor.
Oh, wow.
And so you don't even need to use those accommodations, but you can know that they're there. Yeah. And they're available if you need them. So it doesn't hurt your child any to have it undiagnosed, diagnosed. You can get diagnosed at any point in your life if it becomes a need. But it's always nice to know, well, here's some accommodations that are used for people with ADHD, with dyslexia, dysgraphia. Maybe you just need lined paper to help with lining up your math, and all of a sudden things are making sense. So that's nice to know. Or you need a calculator. Yeah. They're on your phone now. Or you need speech to text. Guess what? That's on your phone too.
Yeah. Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.